Tonight, Fire Parliamentary Secretary Travis Robinson takes his plight to the House floor. What the MP is saying about his recent dismissal coming up. Also, the family of the woman killed in that accident on Munnings Road is getting ready to sue. What they're claiming in that suit is straight ahead. And later, a new set of postal workers blowing the whistle on what they're calling deplorable working conditions. Find out the facility that's almost as bad as the General Post. This is Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News brought to you by Flow Evo, powered by BTC. Flow Evo is here.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Condino Knowles. Thanks for joining us. Well, it's been a little over 1 week since Member of Parliament for Bain and Grantstown, Travis Robinson, was axed from his government-appointed post as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Works. Robinson was relieved of his duties after voting against government's pending value-added tax hike to 12%. Our Theo Seeley reports tonight that Robinson broke his silence this morning as he addressed parliamentarians in the lower chamber.
Bain and Grantstown Member of Parliament Travis Robinson broke his silence Wednesday morning. He called for a select committee to review the relevance and effectiveness of the Westminster system, an archaic set of rules which are the reason why he and two other Free National Movement colleagues were axed from their government-appointed posts.
It is my fundamental belief that no member should be placed in a position to choose between their party/government and the people they represent in this honorable House.
He's now calling for government to tailor a new democratic hybrid system of governance.
A hybrid system of governance where no member in this honorable House of Assembly will ever be fired again for choosing between a fundamental belief and the direction of his party. Let my termination and that of my other colleagues be the last of its kind.
Robinson confirmed that he was well aware of the consequences tied to his decision when he voted no against value-added tax, but maintains that it was a decision made on behalf of the underprivileged demographic.
It was not on a whim or on the base of misinformation, but after much consideration that I voted as I did on the budget and the bill to increase value-added tax. My reasoning explicitly stated in my contribution to the budget communication in the week prior. When I said to my constituents on the campaign trail, I will fight for you, I will go to bat for you, I will stand up and speak out for you, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant.
Now relegated to a backbench position in his party, Robinson says his focus remains unwavered.
I stand proud as a representative for the people, fulfilling the promise to be their voice, to be their hope, to be their servant, whatever the cause.
And in what appeared to be a demonstration that he holds no bitterness toward his party, he answered those concerns with a 6-word response.
I am sticking with the FNM.
The young politician says he remains comforted by the overwhelming support he's received. Theo Seeley, Eyewitness News.
Well, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis offering to foot the bill today for the opposition leader Philip Davis, who also is expected to conduct town hall meetings with Family Island residents to discuss the implementation of value-added tax. Well, just days before VAT is introduced at 12%, the Prime Minister launched a Family Island tour to discuss VAT's rollout. He visited Andros already and is currently in Exuma. Next, he's expected to head to Cat Island, Rum Cay in San Salvador, and then Anagua. But the opposition leader, who is also the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, is saying the Prime Minister's efforts are not only a little too late, but also appear to be partisan. Now, this led to a friendly back and forth between the two senior MPs, but the Prime Minister eventually granted a request by the head of the opposition.
I want to ensure that the same resources could be made available to me as leader of the opposition to travel the islands, to explain, just as he's doing.
I have no objection to you going, but you can't go with me because I'm speaking positive things. You won't speak negative. I was for VAT and explaining why VAT was so significant for the many things that we want to do for them. You were against VAT, so you would have explained why you were against. But we will support you. Since you have no minister to accompany you, you have to go alone. But I have no problem. You may travel and do what you may.
All right, well, days before the implementation of value-added tax, consumers are finding out that they may already be billed for the tax. Our Clint Watson spoke to one woman today who says she was shocked when she found that her insurance went up.
There is no way a consumer should be paying 12% now. No way.
Days before the new budget year begins on July 1st, and Bahamians are already paying 12% VAT.
I went into Confidence Insurance this morning in reference to paying my insurance, which is due by the end of June. So I went in to pay my premium. The gentleman notified me that the premium has increased with a 12% taking effect due to the fact that they got an email from the government stating that the insurance is, the 12% is now into place. So they charged me 12%, and it's not even July 1st as yet.
That's Tamika Hanna. She was shocked that despite her insurance renewal notice showing one figure, the bill she was presented with today showed an increase. That increase was listed under VAT, showing the new 12% rate.
My normal VAT would have been about $22.
How much was it this time?
Today, it went up to $33.99. I told the gentleman it's not fair to me as a customer. I was never notified. You sent me in an email that I have to pay $304 and change, but when I get here, it's a whole different price. Now you're telling me I have to pay the VAT. I'm thinking, as a Bahamian, VAT is introduced effectively July 1st. Why am I paying VAT now?
It's a reasonable question Eyewitness News also wanted answers for. Upon further investigation, we spoke to the Managing Director of Confidence Insurance, Jerome Knowles. He clarified that this move was one pressed by the government, who met with the industry, mandating that they charge VAT on any policy due July or thereafter. In fact, he says what the government didn't consider was that bills for client policies due from July would have gone out long before the budget debate and the announcement of VAT increase. It meant that they would have to wait until clients came in to pay to inform them that their bills are now higher. But he says that's not in all cases, because VAT has now been removed from homeowners' residential insurance. Local insurance companies must now prepare checks to refund clients who already paid their VAT. Either way, he says, the industry too has its concern about implementing the new VAT policy with little notice. Eyewitness News can confirm that some insurance agencies have decided not to recalculate and instead are absorbing the difference. Meantime, consumers like Tamika Hanna have been blindsided by this early VAT collection. At no time in the budget debate was it ever made known that Bahamians would be charged 12% VAT before July 1st.
The thing is, what really got to me is their system hasn't even been in place yet, stating that they're 12%. You know, but you telling me this by word of mouth and you're charging me it on my receipt. Two different totals.
A visibly distraught Hannah had this message for Parliament.
As a Bahamian, I'm not satisfied and I'm not pleased. I am entirely upset with the way this is being handled. If you're going to implement something before the effective date, at least give the public some sort of notification.
Consumers are being advised to check their receipts and ask questions. Find out which VAT rate you are being charged. Clint Watson, Eyewitness News.
All right, well, the murder count continuing its climb after a man who was being electronically monitored was gunned down just steps away from his front door at Southern Breezes Estates off Golden Isles Road last night. The victim, who neighbors unofficially identified as 26-year-old Audley Hanna, had reportedly just pulled up to his home with his girlfriend when he was approached by a gunman who shot him and fled. Neighbors recalled hearing more than 8 gunshots. EMS were called but were unable to revive the man. This latest murder marks the 53rd for the year. Press officer Superintendent Shannon Olds was on the scene last night and confirmed that the victim was known to police.
Approached by a man armed with a firearm who opened fire in their direction. The female was able to escape unharmed, and of course the male was confirmed deceased here on the scene. He is known to police. He appears to be between the ages of 25 and 30 years old. And of course, he is known to us. He has recently been released on bail and is being monitored.
Well, the family of a young mother who tragically died nearly 2 weeks ago after her car crashed into barriers on Munnings Road is today speaking out after allegedly not hearing anything from government officials. Our Francesca Brown is on the scene of today's press conference. Francesca, we understand the family has a list of demands.
That's right, Kendino. Among those demands, the resignation of Works Minister Desmond Bannister and the immediate reopening of this road. The grieving family held a press conference at the same spot where Governisha was killed. They maintain that if this road had proper signage and lighting on the day of the ill-fated accident, the 22-year-old mother of one would still be alive.
They have taken away from this family that which can never, ever be repaid.
I'm sorry. It's all Patrice Carey wanted to hear from any government official after her daughter's death. But unfortunately, she says that apology never came. And 2 weeks after her daughter slammed into concrete barriers on Munnings Road, the grief-stricken mother says she no longer cares about an apology. She wants justice.
Even the smallest, minutest word. If my prime minister had sent a friend of a friend, I thought about it. I said, why has no one even approached me even to say sorry? And there was a lot of speculation. No one wants to take claim for it. But I said, my God, my own MP, my personal MP, Ellsworth, I said at least he could have stopped by my house.
There's been lots of controversy surrounding the road, which residents demanded to be closed after a community meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, the Member of Parliament for that area, back in March. The road was officially closed on May 1st. Governisha's father, Garvin Carey, says access to that road should have never been blocked.
And this is a public road.
Exactly.
Public road, because it was paid by our taxpayers' money. So why they block it off? Why they block it off? Anything that our Bahamian money paid for, it's for everyone who's a Bahamian. Am I right?
That's right.
The family has retained the services of Wayne Munro and Associates and is suing the government for wrongful death.
Mr. Munro is certainly of the considered opinion that the government and, in extent, the Ministry of Works is liable. He is of the opinion that the speed bumps and the reflectors that were just recently added is to be seen as an admission of the government's liability.
Last week, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis was quoted as saying he was not a technical man but a politician and rushed off to lunch when asked about why the government waited until after the young mother's death to finally place speed bumps on the road. In response, Patrice says she was not surprised.
My thoughts were in line with what I've seen him doing throughout the whole time. Nothing. Lack of concern, lack of care, lack of justice.
All right, thanks a lot, our Francesca Brown reporting live for us tonight. Thanks a lot, Francesca. Well, the multi-million-dollar The Point development under a microscope for its labor component as the Department of Labor sent in an inspection team to take account. This following claims by Attorney General Senator Carl Bethel earlier this week that Chinese laborers were observed laying blocks, a task that he said surely Bahamians are able to do. Labor Director John Pinder telling Eyewitness News that inspection was to ensure compliance with the 70-30 ratio of Bahamian to Chinese workers. An investigation of the site was conducted earlier this year, and at that time, officials said the hotel was not in breach of the approved labor ratio.
But I have actually sent the inspection team, or they should have gone yesterday, to do an inspection on that particular site and various other sites to ensure that they meet the standard. They are in compliance with what we agreed to in these agreements, that a certain amount of Bahamians must be employed. And when we see those type of things going, we certainly will challenge it. And a number of NOVs has come to my desk so far. That's the notice of vacancies. And I have recommend to the minister that we give these people last time approval in a number of instances to give him sufficient time now to qualify themselves for these positions.
Meantime, Immigration Minister Brent Simonette said as a result of the inspection, changes were made and some Chinese employees were reclassified to reflect the conditions under the Heads of Agreement.
With regard to the point, there have been applications processed, and the initial phases, they were for laborers. The Ministry of Labor met with China State Construction, and we sorted that issue out, and the laborers have been reclassified in the appropriate work class section and paying the increased fees that relate to semi-skilled or skilled laborers.
Well, the Chinese Bahamian Association responding to a recent news story aired in our broadcast that followed a viral video showing Chinese restaurant workers allegedly digging in their sewage systems. Association officials are tonight saying that they have been under contract with Bahamas Waste Management Biodiesel Division to collect used oil from their grease pits as part of a revolutionary eco-friendly responsible program which recycles waste oil into biodiesel for over 2 years. Officials claim that none of the business establishments reuse the oil and have fully compliant with all health and safety regulations in order to possess a valid business license. Now, they are hoping to clear up any misunderstandings about their business practices. All right, well, we are just getting started in Eyewitness News, but when we come back, the conditions post office workers in the South have been dealing with for years. Their story is coming up. And later, we've got the touching story of a boy suffering from an extremely rare medical condition. Find out which one straight ahead. We've got that and more coming up, but first, here's a check on tonight's weather forecast. You are looking at live pictures of Six-Legged Roundabout where the temperature is right around 84 degrees with an expected dip to about 78. This is Eyewitness News. Welcome back. Employees of the East Hill Post Office have been redeployed to a number of government postal sites until a permanent relocation for 2 new Gladstone Road post offices. And while employees may have thought the move would bring about better working conditions, they were apparently sorely disappointed. Janelle Noel Ferguson explains.
Issues for post office employees continue to escalate.
It's really hot inside here. It is really hot from day to day. No, man, we can't deal with this in here.
Postal workers who were stationed at the main East Hill Post Office have been dispersed to a number of satellite stations, including South Beach, where the situation is just as bad with a malfunctioning air conditioning unit, among other challenges.
We were out of water for almost 3 months. We were toting water in a bucket to flush toilets, and however we got that sorted out. But as you can see, the mess inside here.
Now, Linda Hunt has worked at that location for more than 5 years, and she says they have been on reduced hours. She and other employees have resorted to sitting near a cage door in the summer heat for a little relief, fans blowing hot air in the poorly ventilated space. Another employee who did not wish to be filmed said successive governments have ignored their pleas for help.
We presently now we have a total of 15 staff here, which of course more supposed to join us this morning because the office at Carmichael is overcrowded. Presently, we don't have any work here to do at none of the office because all our work is generated at the main post office, and this is where we are right now.
The challenges, he said, are also impacting postal services across the country.
More than a week now, the family hasn't received any mail. We're only receiving mail from the U.S. and Canada and the U.S. I most believe this can downgrade us bad. I mean, but this is our second week without sending out any mail to different countries.
Now, the BPSU union president, Kingsley Ferguson, has long agitated for relief for postal workers, but he says the cries have fallen on deaf ears. Janelle Noel Ferguson, Eyewitness News.
Well, electrical issues persist at the General Post on East Hill Street, and it could be well over a month before working conditions at the mail hub are back to normal. Local Government Minister Frankie Campbell confirming today that government held a meeting on Monday to discuss the issue, which has brought operations at the General Post to a halt. He said a damaged breaker panel is to blame for the problem, which has also impacted mailing services in the Family Islands. Campbell confirmed that a replacement part is presently being sought.
However, the part that is needed, because it's an old part, more than 30 years old, they have to go and search for it, or the manufacturers have to make it. I'm advised that there is an urgent search going on. If we could find it, we'll be able to make the repairs in a week or two. If not, it'll take at least 6 weeks to be manufactured.
Well, two young parents sharing their heart-wrenching story with us tonight, giving us an up-close look into how they are raising their only son who's been diagnosed with a rare disease. Our April Sands tonight shares their journey in the fight against the disease.
It's every mother's worst nightmare, having a child with a need and being unable to provide. But it's a reality this young mother, Angelica Miller, faces on a day-to-day. Meet Tariq Miller, an active little boy who at first glance seems to have nothing wrong. But since the age of 3, he was diagnosed with a rare condition known as hereditary angioedema.
When he was born, he was fine, he was healthy. He went home with me that same day, I think, that same day. And at the age of 3 is when it started to flare up.
If the flare-up happens, no medication, he could potentially die.
The condition Tariq faces is so rare doctors in the country don't have the proper medication. Tariq needs to bring down the flaring, leaving Angelica to have to make an ever so often trip to Florida just for her son's sake. It's the reason she's now been left without a job. The only parent left to bring an income to the table is Tariq's dad. But he said even before now, he too was left without a job due to the burdensome task in taking care of his son.
You know, you won't be upfront with personnel because you still, at the end of the day, they still running a business. You understand? And I told them that they was behind me 100% with the family. Anytime I needed off, they give me the time off. When we needed help, they supported us. So big ups to them.
The two parents, who are still both in their early 20s, have noted despite their challenges, they remain focused on Tariq's growth, and it's clear to see they've done a good job. Tariq will tell you himself that his disease doesn't stop him.
Your teacher told them, and what was their reaction?
No, they didn't do no reaction.
And what if there was another little boy or a little kid that may have the same condition? Like, what would you tell them?
I was gonna tell him it would be all right.
Now that shot that's expected to bring down the flaring of Tariq's rare condition only works during one reaction, and the medication holds an expense of over $5,000. If you or anyone else you know can assist with Tariq's family, you can reach out to 447-9311 or reach out to our Eyewitness News team at 357 News. Reporting for Eyewitness News, I'm April Sands.
All right, coming up, you've got your BTC connection, and later in sports, Randy Smith is off the top with the latest. Randy?
Kendino, one of the country's premier tennis players, is trying to find some success tonight in Canada. We have the latest details coming up in Eyewitness Sports. Good evening, everyone. I'm Randy Smith, and welcome to Eyewitness News Sports. We begin tonight with the men's national volleyball squad, who, like the women's team, is also preparing to travel for competition in the coming days. According to longtime national team member Byron Ferguson, things have picked up over the last few days as they prepare to lock in on the competition. The team will play in the Kazova Senior Championships in Suriname.
I just try to help us to stay focused on the game plan, help us not to make simple mistakes. In the game of volleyball, small mistakes could kill a team. So we only go to 25. If we limit our mistakes, we could win most games. We won the Caribbean Championship in 2012. We've been competitive for many years, and last year we fell off a little bit. We had a lot of new younger players, but the younger guys have a little more experience from last year, so we're hoping that this year we could get back to our winning ways.
In tennis news, Justin Roberts teams up with Jody Maginley from Antigua in doubles action at the ITF F4 Futures Tournament in Kaloa, Canada tonight. They'll take on Alexis Gallinaro and Benjamin Sugon. Yesterday, Roberts and Maginley picked up wins over Canadian team Samuel Monette and Calvin Thalheimer.
I'm able to play in the last year because of my wrist injury. I had surgery in October, so it's just my first time getting back out there. I believe that I can do well. I want to go as far as I can, but I don't want to put too much pressure on myself just coming back because my first events, but I look to do well and give my best effort.
In basketball action, the BBF Summer of Thunder exhibition series continues tonight at Kendall Isaacs. IBA Elite takes on Truman State University. Yesterday, Truman State knocked off Star Sports 102-76 in the opening game of the tournament. They'll play their final exhibition game on Friday against the NPBA All-Stars. Overseas, Tavario Miller and Mochis will take on Mazatlan in the Mexican League quarterfinal. The series is tied at 1 game each, and tonight's contest will serve as the tiebreaker. In the last game on Tuesday, Miller had 17 points in an 86-79 win. And for those keeping up with World Cup action, we have some scores from today. Sweden defeated Mexico 3-0, and South Korea beat Germany 2-0. Well, that does it for us in sports, but stay tuned. Eyewitness News returns after the break. I'm Randy Smith. Have a great evening.
You're watching Eyewitness News.
Welcome back. It's time now for a check on this edition of BTC Connection.
At beautiful Highborn Key in the Exuma Chains for this year's Bahamas Poker Run. It's an event that seeks to raise money for the Bahamas National Trust and the Exuma Chains Land, Sea and Park. And as Eric Carey, the executive director of the Bahamas National Trust, explains, this event is one of the most anticipated of the year. So we've been able to track down the executive chairman of the Bahamas National Trust, Eric Carey. Mr. Carey, this is a stunning event, and it's for a worthy cause.
Absolutely. I want to really thank the organizers of the Poker Run 2018. Once again, the Bahamas National Trust, specifically the Exuma Keys Land and Sea Park, is a beneficiary. You know, for us, it's really important that Bahamians come and enjoy their park. So that's actually the greatest benefit to us.
And what are you looking forward to?
I think I'm most looking forward to the run to the different stops. It's always fun for all the boats to ride close together and everyone's trying to test out their engines. So I'm looking forward to moving to the next stop and seeing how all the boats move together.
Go ahead and let everybody know that it's BTC every day.
BTC every day!
It takes about $500,000 a year to preserve our national parks. And so you get the understanding of the importance of an event such as this. It is more than just having fun. It is about preserving our rich heritage. I'm Corbell Pyfrom, and we'll see you next BTC Connection.
Keep in touch with everybody. It's BTC every day. Every day.
All right, coming up in 2 minutes, Beyond the Headlines with Clint Watson. He and his panel have a very candid discussion tonight. That starts right after this. That does it for us on Eyewitness News. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Candino Knowles saying good night.
Coming up tonight, he's been called David, who took on Goliath. Bain and Grantstown MP Travis Robinson breaking his silence today in Parliament after he was fired from his parliamentary secretary position for voting no to increasing VAT. What's the future for the young politician? Where does he now stand? Also, with so many young people looking up to him, how is he making a difference in the country? What message does he want to send to the thousands of youth? Travis Robinson is here tonight, and we go deep. Beyond the Headlines starts now. bold stance by the youngest member of parliament as he tells the House of Assembly today why he voted against his party and said no to value-added tax increase. Good evening, everyone. I'm Clint Watson. Welcome to the show. Well, Travis Robinson is being hailed a hero by some for representing the views of his constituents in the communities of Bain and Grantstown. With a lucrative and a high position in government dangling over his head, he turned away from what some deem the good life to stand with his people from the inner city community and vote no to a VAT increase. Theo Seeley today was at the House of Assembly to get exactly what was happening at the House of Assembly when he got up on his feet and made a courageous address in front of his colleagues, many of those who have been in Parliament for many years. We have a recap of that story tonight.
Bain and Grantstown Member of Parliament Travis Robinson broke his silence Wednesday morning. He called for a select committee to review the relevance and effectiveness of the Westminster system, an archaic set of rules which are the reason why he and two other Free National Movement colleagues were axed from their government-appointed posts.
It is my fundamental belief that no member should be placed in a position to choose between their party/government and the people they represent in this honorable House.
He's now calling for government to tailor a new democratic hybrid system of governance.
A hybrid system of governance where no member in this honorable House of Assembly will ever be fired again for choosing between a fundamental belief and the direction of his party. Let my termination and that of my other colleagues be the last of its kind.
Robinson confirmed that he was well aware of the consequences tied to his decision when he voted no against value-added tax, but maintains that it was a decision made on behalf of the underprivileged demographic.
It was not on a whim or on the base of misinformation, but after much consideration that I voted as I did on the budget and the bill to increase value-added tax. My reasoning explicitly stated in my contribution to the budget communication in the week prior. When I said to my constituents on the campaign trail, I will fight for you, I will go to bat for you, I will stand up and speak out for you, I meant what I said, and I said what I meant.
Now relegated to a backbench position in his party, Robinson says his focus remains unwavered.
I stand proud as a representative for the people, fulfilling the promise to be their voice, to be their hope, to be their servant, whatever the cause.
And in what appeared to be a demonstration that he holds no bitterness toward his party, he answered those concerns with a 6-word response.
I am sticking with the FNM.
The young politician says he remains comforted by the overwhelming support he's received. Theo Seeley, Eyewitness News.
Thanks a lot, Seeley. Well, please welcome the MP for Bain and Grantstown tonight, my guest, Mr. Travis Robinson. Good night and welcome.
Thank you, Mr.
It's great to have you with us. Well, let's jump right into it because I know there's so many questions people want to hear you respond to tonight. But the obviously overwhelming expression, obviously, people are hailing you as courageous. It's not the easiest thing to get up in front of men who perhaps are twice your age, who pioneered in politics and take a stand for the people in your constituency. At any point in time that you feel a bit intimidated by the stand you'd have to take?
I would not say intimidated, but I would say that I thought about it very thoroughly to ensure that the decision that I was about to make was indeed the right one, not about me, but for the people that I was called to serve.
People will look every day and say, well, listen, if I have a lucrative job that's paying a good salary and a big position in government, parliamentary secretary of the #1 industry, how do you walk away from all of that to take a stand for people who could tomorrow turn against you and say, well, we don't want you anymore, or because of a decision you make later on down in parliament, they say, well, we don't like you anymore. That's a big walk away from. How do you walk away from that?
Well, one of the things that my mother always told me, she said, Travis, if you lose anything in life, do not lose your integrity. And she always reminded me that integrity is doing the right thing, not because others are watching you, but because it is the right thing to do. So I was able to quote unquote walk away from it because I was walking away from it in the name of integrity, in the name of principle, in the name of moral. And I said today in my presentation that no position, no money enough, no system of governance can stop me from exercising or standing on my principle or my moral and definitely representing the people that I was called to serve.
You helped the Free National Movement in the last election create a massive feat and defeat the Progressive Party in a constituency that was known to be a hardcore PLP territory. But you were able to go in there against all odds. People said, oh, this young man can't beat the greats of the late Bernard Nottage. And you went in there and you did something. And you won. And you got young people in the inner city to believe that the FNM would be the party for the young people. Do you still today, we heard you say in there that you're still in FNM. Do you still believe the FNM is a party for young people?
Well, unequivocally, indisputably, the FNM is by far the only party that I can continue to see even to this day that is for young people, by young people, and with young people. My debacle within the House of Assembly just recently did not speak to the fact that the FNM has now dismissed young people from the table. Even in a family where a mother and children or father and children have disputes, they have disagreements. But the disagreements does not mean that you are no longer part of the family. It just simply means that we've got to find common ground where we agree to disagree. So by far the FNM continues to be a party for young people. And let me just say for the record that when I was fired from my position, I was not placed on the back burner as some may presumably think. I've gotten calls from MCMs within the FNM, from party officials, from senior executives within the FNM, encouraging me, that this is a small bump in the road, keep pushing, there's greater ahead, and that this is just the beginning for something new.
I was about to ask you, how is your relationship with your FNM parliamentarians, including the Prime Minister? How is that relationship?
Well, the Prime Minister and I, as I mentioned as well, continue to share a remarkable political relationship. Interestingly enough, the Prime Minister would have called and checked up on me throughout this process. So he did not just cut me off and fire me and throw me out there to burn. No, he ensured that through this process that I understood that this was not something that he personally wanted to do from a personal conviction.
So why do you think he did it?
Again, to what I spoke to the Westminster system, he simply followed the rules and regulations. And if you would look at the handbook, of which I did, and so I also want to dispel that myth that when I did what I did, I was not privy or knowledgeable to the consequences. I was fully aware of the consequences. And it was a consequence that I was willing and ready and able and accepted.
You said in the House today, which I thought was profound, you called for a select committee to look into this Westminster system. Do you believe that it's flawed, particularly in this kind of incidents, where you're forced to choose between constituency and governance because you're part of the government? Do you believe it's time for us to move away from it?
Absolutely, without hesitation or a shadow of a doubt. If a member of parliament sitting in parliament have to choose between the people he's called to serve or the people who put him there and the party of which he also ran and was a part of, we have a conflict of interest. We have a problem. I think that the system need to be one where it can allow for disagreement but still camaraderie and inclusion within that political party. And if we liken it to the scenario what happened with me, when I was fired, it was not a personal vendetta or personal decision. It was merely a decision that was based upon a system that spoke to regulations and rules. Just like we in the Bahamas are governed by a constitution, the government of the Bahamas and governments around the world, they are governed by various system of governance that speak to what they should and should not do.
I know you say you're still a part of the FNM and you fully subscribe to them, but you voted no. So you believe that the FNM should not have brought this VAT increase at this time?
What my no vote was not merely upon, basically upon them bringing the increase at this time. My no vote was to speak on behalf of my constituents that yes, I understand that this is an increase that is needed. And had I was working for Travis Robinson, or voting rather for Travis Robinson, I would have voted yes. But when I stand in that honorable house, I say, Mr. Speaker, I stand on behalf of the people of Bain and Grandstown.
So you didn't vote Travis' personal view, you voted the constituency personal view. And if you had voted Travis, you would have voted yes.
That is correct.
But you voted on behalf of the people.
On behalf of the constituents.
Do you believe all of your other colleagues voted on behalf of their constituents?
Well, I cannot speak for them, I can only speak for me.
We're going to take a break. We're having a conversation with Travis Robinson. When we come back, what is next for him? What is his political future like? What does he plan on doing? He's also been very active with young people, looking out for opportunities for the positive in the young people. We're going to talk a bit about that as well when we come back. Stay close. You're watching Beyond the Headlines. Welcome back. We are talking to Bain and Grandstown MP Travis Robinson following an inspiring day in the House Assembly. One of those days when you didn't mind watching Parliament because it was such an inspiration hearing you speaking again. Congratulations to you on a well put together, well thought out presentation. I think we all were proud as Bahamians to hear you speak so profoundly in that House of Assembly. It lets us know that young people are on the move in this country, eh?
Thank you. I think it does.
What happens now, Travis? You don't work for tourism anymore. You've walked away from that. You've spoken that, listen, for my people, so my people want me to vote no. I voted no on their behalf. I'm still an F&M, you said, and I'm still here to support the agenda of the Minister administration. What's next for you?
Well, Travis Robinson, the Member of Parliament, will continue to do the work that I've begun within Bain and Grandstown. Given the demographics and the situations within the community, you would know unresoundedly that we have a lot of work to do within Bain and Grandstown. And so I'm simply continuing the work that I have started, and I now have a lot more time to dedicate to the people of which I've been called to serve.
Now, I'm on Instagram, and I see this sharp picture of Mr. Robinson on Instagram, and it says, "Consult Bahamas Limited, Mr. Travis Robinson, President and CEO, Chief Tourism Consultant." That's new.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So we talk about Travis Robinson, the Member of Parliament. Now, Travis Robinson, the person, the man behind the name, having been now terminated from my position, I do not just want to sit on the knowledge and information that I've gained working in the Ministry of Tourism, and given the fact that I'm studying tourism management at the University of the Bahamas, you would know that tourism is my field, it's my passion, something that I enjoy. And so now I'm going into a little bit more of consultancy to assist individuals who may perhaps want to invest in the tourism sector in the Bahamas, both the local Bahamians or foreigners. And so that is now the direction that Travis Robinson, the man behind the name, is going into.
Are you perhaps be a consultant for the government in tourism?
Well, listen, the option is on the table.
If they want to pay for your services. Young people has been your passion. It's really why you got involved in frontline politics. And the inner city has struggled with young people because of all the social ills we're seeing. But a few days ago, we've been having on this show young men who are excelling. All hope is not lost in Bain and Grandstown when it comes to young people, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. We have so many young persons who are hardworking. I know a young man, I don't wish to call his name because I didn't get permission to do so, but he graduated from the University of the Bahamas with 2 degrees. Wow. And he lives in Bain and Grandstown. And certainly I want to congratulate him on that great move. And then the many other young persons in the community who are studying at BTVI, doing skills training, and so many others who have entrepreneurship activities that they are now pursuing. Something as simple as a car wash. You know, one of the young men within my constituency in Poland Division 7, he opened a car wash a few months ago, and ever since I've been going to his car wash now to certainly patronize his business and to encourage him to, you know, to understand that if you want to go out and launch and become your own boss, your own investor, then certainly that's something I encourage.
You come from you represent a constituency where one of the biggest concerns they have is jobs. In a tightening economy like this, where it seems as if there ain't much availability, and at least for people who don't have certain skills, because there are jobs for those who are skilled in certain areas, but a lot of the inner city communities don't have a lot of the necessary skills for these jobs. How are you finding being able to satisfy the needs of these people when they say, listen, we need a job? You're our MP, what are you doing? How are you dealing with that?
So one of the things I'm most thankful for is a really good relationship with the government and with my fellow ministers. And so what I've done recently, just 3 months ago, I've started recruiting individuals within the community, getting their various skill sets, their assets in terms of what their knowledge of high school education, tertiary level education, etc., what those things are. And so every month I would send to the Minister of Labor and the Ministry of Labor list files of individuals within my community who have potential to gain employment. What I've also done was to certainly try to upgrade those individuals who do not have that level of skills or employability assets that individuals will look for. I launched a program about 3 months ago in my community, and so we were partnered with Cybertech Community College, where they have now been able to enroll themselves into those classes and take entrepreneurship and small business development, customer service, introduction to computer studies, and another course that they can enroll themselves in, so that when they send their resumes out to companies, they have something substantial that they could put to say why they're credible to obtain a job.
So you've been working in your community?
Absolutely. You know, I tell people all the time, I did not just run in Baintown, I live in Baintown. And so the mess that we're in Baintown, if I don't fix it, I've got to live in it. Wow. And I don't intend to live in a mess.
Wow. And you still live in Bain
I still live in Bain and Grandstown.
Contrary to what people want to say, you don't have a condo out west or something.
Well, listen, God is blessing me, and one day it will come. But
for now, you reside right in there.
I'm in the beautiful hometown of the down home, Bain and Grandstown.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to be wrapping up. But I want to ask interesting questions. One, I'm going to give you a chance to think about it on the commercial break. Can we see you rise to government again before this administration is done? And two, has the PLP been in touch with you? We're back after this. Welcome back. We're talking to Travis Robinson, having a great discussion on the commercial break. And of course, we're going to put some questions in that I know you wanted to ask. And the first one is, can we see you again rise again in government in this term in office? Has there been any negotiations, any talks? What do you personally feel about another position in government in this term?
Well, I will speak for me. Travis Robinson is not position hungry. I'm not position oriented. I'm simply doing the work for the people of Bain and Grandstown. I have a position right now, Member of Parliament for Bain and Grandstown, and I'm quite comfortable with that. And so I have a lot of work to do in that position, and I will continue to work within that field that the people would have elected me to do. Should something else arise in the near future or in the long-term future, then that is to be determined at that time. But as for now, Travis Robinson is working in Bain and Grandstown.
Any calls from the PLP to say, listen, man, come consider us?
Well, I would only say that every political party have a mandate, and the PLP would have done what any other political party would have done.
They went after you. They wanted you to come on over, come be the voice for the young people, we see you straight. PLP can make some good promises.
Well, I have no comment on that.
And you still, like you said, you remain the torchbearer.
I am F&M true and true.
Travis Robinson, thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and all the best. I believe we're going to see a bright future from you, and we're certainly happy to have you in our community working. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And that's our show for tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow night with another exciting show. You do not want to miss it. Until then, on behalf of all of us here, I'm Clint Watson. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good night, everyone.